Hey, hey, hey. Hang on. Hopefully that fixed it. Hopefully. All right. I'm sorry about that, guys. All right. My name is Thomas Price, and I am totally sorry about all that happening. So here we are, lines on the page, and it is episode 15. And we're going to be drawing Grifter from WildC.A.T.S. And let's see, hang on for one moment. Is that better? Maybe not. I don't know. Hopefully it'll fix it. So yeah, new setup again, trying to work out all the kinks. So I'm trying to get used to everything going on. So hopefully there isn't like a giant echo or anything like that going on. Fingers crossed. And let me try something. No, that's not on. I don't know. All right, so drawing Grifter today from WildC.A.T.S. And if anyone just happens to know anything involving WildC.A.T.S, it is the super team that Jim Lee created in the early 90s when it was in Image Comics. First things first, just want to let you guys know that this piece is available to purchase via auction with a starting bid at $50 USD. And there's only two stipulations with it. If you decide that you want to purchase this piece during the live chat, first one is that it can only be increased in dollar increments, and two, you're really wanting to buy it and not just trolling the feed, snagging it from someone else who wants to get it. Other than that, it is free game. And David McDonald, hey. Yeah, I'm glad I'm drawing Grifter 2. It's been, I'm trying to think. So I think the last time that I drew Grifter, it was actually maybe about a year ago, but it was like a thumbnail sketch, and I want to say that it's in my sketchbook. If anyone wants to go and check that for me, please do. I don't remember. And here's Tots. Hey, you guys. Coming in for the win. All right. So a little housekeeping at the beginning of the chats. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to follow and like and subscribe to anything that I'm doing, just go to linktree.com, tpriceartworks. You will find me here on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Mastodon, Hive, and Tumblr. So, speaking of this going on, I'm actually going to show you guys something really quick, something that I had been working off on the side for my Kickstarter. I'm going to blow this up just a little bit. So I was working on some World War I stuff with character designs and whatnot, and which brought about my thought in terms of thinking about doing stuff regarding Grifter. So just getting into the idea of thinking about drawing guns and thinking about different angles, how soldiers would hide it. It's a little trench warfare thing going on over here on the side. The quiet drama in the trench. What other soap opera things can we rename? Guiding Trench. General Trench. I don't know. If anyone can come up with something better in the chat, please do. But anyways, just wanted to show this real quick. Figured that you guys might be interested in seeing what I'm doing online. And it's just a little taste of whatever I've been putting in this here notebook, sketchbook. All right. So I figured with this angle, everything should be a lot better than having to deal with the webcam, so that you're going to see what it is that I'm doing, and uh, better lighting, cameras, all that fun stuff. But yeah, let's get into drawing Grifter. I'm actually thinking about doing things in terms of how I wanted to present the character. The first things first, one of the things that I like was the overabundance of not understanding how to draw, because they would have magazines in the wrong place, uh, double, triple barrels when there's no reason to be. So there was just so much less, including with dealing with like that. They would be adding in like serratus muscles that didn't even exist. Um, I do kind of blame, just people deciding that, well, it's the make it extremist, and that's that. But we're not going to do that today. We're not going to do that at all. So let's do something really interesting and to draw Grifter, obviously with a hand, but we're also going to be working on some forced perspective, just a good bit, and understand how the anatomy to him holding a gun, but with this kind of perspective going on. So I'm going to quickly pull up a reference of Grifter. And yeah, okay. So we're going to start things pretty simple with the building blocks. So first things first, head. And because he's going to be at this angle of, firing a gun, things are going to be a little bit skewed. So shoulder muscles are going to be going on both sides, on the side of the head, and then we're going to be bringing in shoulders right here and here. So we got someone else in the chat. Alan coming in for the win. Let's start a second show called Doodle Bugs. We both dress as clowns. You draw kid stuff, and I 2-to-1 every time keyword. I can see this working out, and all this being the now for the next generation of kids. I don't know. So we've got shoulder for the right arm. Bicep is going to be right here. And then obviously shoulder is going to be right here. And then we are going to be forcing perspective with the forearm. And the right hand right here, which the left is going to be cupping underneath. And then the gun, you get trigger finger, everything else down here. Obviously, thumb's going to be wrapped around to be able to see it. So, like I said, perspective is going to be very forced. And we'll start rounding off these edges when we start getting down into the nitty gritty of dealing with the technical aspect of the gun and the angle, which I'm actually going to drop this down just a bit. So I'm not sure if any of you were ever taught about how to create like a 3D square or rectangle, but you would usually draw like a square on one side, then a square further behind, then you lined in uh, the extra parts to make it into like a cube or a brick or any size, type object or shape. But this is basically what I'm kind of doing in the same similar aspects, so I can work within the parameters of how I'm going to be drawing in, like, the barrel, if I'm going to be drawing in the great, what is it? This is rifling, as far as the inside of the barrel. I think terminology is a little bit skewed right now. But the other shoulder is going to be right here, leading down. That's right there. And then because we're not going to be able to see most of the chest and the abdomen area, but we know it exists. And because he likes to wear his trademark big jacket, trench coat kind of thing, to go ahead and put the lapel right there. And instead of doing like the weird fan thing, we're going to kind of make it into where he's kind of got like the hoodie thing, but like underneath the jacket itself. And just have the jacket fan out in John Woo fashion. Looks like we got another question. Let's see, Alan. Serious question. When you draw a character like Grifter, do you look towards the current DCR style or the 90s image style? So, one of the things that I did not like about the 90s image style is that certain things had to be almost kind of like a color code situation. So you would have so we can like separate Grifter's outfit into three different primary colors, or sorry, not primary colors, but like three different colors that are like the primary eye catch. First one's going to be the red mask. The second one is going to be the black of, actually, no, he also had red gloves, if I remember correctly. But he also had a black shirt and boots, and then, green jacket and pants. Or was it brown pants? It kept flip flopping. And I think some of that just had to do with the fact of, and I think I touched this a little bit with the last episode, with a lot of the 90s image guys, because they came from Marvel and they're so used to and subliminally ingrained with drawing these, huge teams. A lot of those people being the characters from, Marvel at the time, they all were like, iconic uniforms. They usually had about three different colors, two at the least. And that sort of thing just kind of seeped over into everything that's kind of going on within the WildC.A.T.S group. Because we could say the same thing with, Zealot. Zealot has technically two colors, red and white. maybe silver if you want to add it in as a third color if you want. Voodoo technically has two different colors, which is, well, three if you include a tattoo. So you're starting to see a repeating trend here with all of that. So what I like to do is think about when I'm drawing a character like this, I want to give a nod to the original, but there are certain things that I felt like were impracticalities with this outfit. So we're going to kind of bring it in a little bit to the norm. And I figure with a guy who does a lot of like covert ops stuff, it would make sense for him to have a hoodie. And we're going to have Cole's signature flock of hair. All right, so we basically had the building blocks of how we're going to, kind of piece everything together. But now we're going to be really honing in on certain aspects of certain things. We're definitely going to be dealing with like folds of the jacket, and of course, obviously, the extreme angle of the gun. So here we go. So I was actually talking with a customer earlier today who apparently loves everything about Jim Lee, but had never read Wildcats. And thankfully, we actually had a Wildcats #1 trade. So he was able to buy that and read it and was definitely interested. So super glad that we actually had that in the store. Which, uh, shameful self promotion. I want to switch to microphones, see if that's going to help.
Hello? All right, does that help? Because as of right now, I don't think I'm hearing any sort of feedback. Do. All right. I think that fixed out the feedback. I kept hearing something in the background. I'm not sure if that was translating further into the live stream. Camera pointing out head keeps freezing. Okay, yeah, I really can't help anything about that. That's just the wireless connection that I'm working with today. So one of the things that I am not really big into doing is drawing blonde hair. I've never been a fan of it. But if all I'm going to do is completely, ignore, uh, you know, not do, sorry, if I'm going to continue on ignoring something that I know is a weakness, then I'm never going to learn. All right. So now that we know that the top of his head is right here and that's where the part is, then we're going to assume that his eye line is going to be right here. And then this should technically be where the tip of the nose is going to be. So So I wanted to basically make his mask, which is basically a cloth over his face. And because, you know, I guess in some ways he's like whipping the gun around. So it would make sense for his body to move, hair is moving, and it would also make even more sense for his mask to be moving in the same direction, um, that his hair is also moving at the same time. Mm. I am probably going to raise this up at least an inch. So So I think the biggest downside with working with such extreme angles is that all it takes is one wrong line and the human body is not going to look like the human body anymore. Check on secondary. Okay, interesting. I want to have one eye a little bit more open while the other one's kind of squinting just a little bit, like he's trying to line up the sight. I think I have one wrong line around my gut. Oof. Let's see here. Hey, Damon. Yes, the glove is to prevent smudging, and it also keeps your hand warm. during the winter years. It really helps just having something that is breathable and washable. And I basically had all these extra old marching gloves from high school that I just decided, well, this is a hell of a lot cheaper than having to buy one uh, that would be, 30 or something bucks or whatever, when I can get something like this for less than 10. Good question. But according to Alan, it's so I can do my Michael Jackson impersonations and hum Thriller whenever I'm doing stuff. But that's a conspiracy. Mix this up just a bit. The other guess was Michael Jackson, or was it the smudging? And I'm glad you're loving the angle on this. It has taken me 15 episodes to get the perfect angle to do this. But as far as just doing like extreme angles and stuff like that, it's been a while since the last time I've had to do any sort of extreme angle, anything. So it's nice to get back into that kind of rhythm again. All right, so if we are to assume that the trigger guard is going to be probably about right here, and we're just going to loop that under. So this part right here is not, um, it's not sure where I am with the angle. Let me just do it this way. So when I'm thinking about drawing a gun, and if we're looking at the hand, so what you should never do is to draw the whole finger inside the trigger, uh, because the person isn't, you're not supposed to pull on the trigger. You're actually supposed to squeeze in order to fire off a shot. So it makes sense for you to be drawing someone doing the same thing. What a lot of people don't do is actually drawing fingers that are actually lying against the trigger and trigger guard, which basically gives off the impression that the person is, they're armed, they do have a shot lined up, but they're not going to take it. Uh, but in most comics, person's finger is automatically already inside the trigger, or the trigger guard per se. So it would make sense that, if we're assuming that, let's say this pencil is a gun, then that means that what we're looking at right here is actually this second part right here, which means that this is right here, and then the knuckle is right there. So if we are to figure out that, first knuckle is going to be right there, then everything else is going to line up relatively easy then on. And then, as I stated earlier, that, you know, if he's going to be shooting with his right hand and then the left hand's going to be underneath it, cupping. So it's going to look like, you know, that or this or this. It varies between person to person. So I'm putting in some kind of hard folds to give off the idea of where the hand or where the entire arm is going to be together, so you can get the idea of shoulder is going to be bicep, tricep, elbow, forearm. All right. So let's focus on the rest of the gun. So this entire, really super angled rectangle is going to be, I guess, the space in which the gun's going to live. So we're going to be kind of doing a variation between a couple different 9mm type handguns. So that's everything from Glock to 6.6 to uh, Walther PPK. Uh, various other different types of 9mm handguns that we can possibly just spur off the top of our head. But they all basically just, work the same. But I'm thinking, because this is Grifter, it's not going to be, just a run the mill 9mm. Uh, because he is the covert ops guy, it makes sense to not only have a silencer on the end of the barrel, but it also kind of makes sense if we add in like a laser sight underneath. Makes sense to me. So, so as you can see, I'm trying to make a slight curve, and then the back sights will be right here. And it always flip flops with me in terms of wherever it is that I'm putting the I'm totally forgetting the technical term for it, but it basically the place where the bullets eject out from the barrel after being fired. Um, so sometimes I put them directly on top. Other times it's usually like on the left or the right. So um, we're going to have that ejection port over here off the side. Or blocks are on top, berettas are on the side. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So in that case, let's go ahead and just draw it as a Glock. I think that might be a little bit easier. I'm just gonna erase a little bit here and there. Um, and let's see here. Ink. We're gonna have the foresight right there. So the laser attachment is probably going to be coming down just a bit more and covering this bottom part right here. I'm going to go ahead and do this number. Let's see. I'm going to be using a handy dandy stencil. So because I've got this square at the particular angle that I've got it, so it would only make sense for me to figure out exactly how big the silencer is going to be that's going to fit within that. So thinking we have a winner. And I'm going to be obviously changing this up little by little. In fact, we may have to expand the size of it. And of course, I'm also going to have to change the angle just a bit as well. Let's see here. That'll work for now. Didn't work for long. All right. Um, Laser attachment is going to be underneath. It's not going to be the same length as the silencer. It's actually going to be a little bit stubbier. So one of the things I kind of actually one of the very, very few things that I pride myself in is trying to pick up as many nonfiction photo references, books that basically kind of look like coffee table stuff, but stuff that's, filled with anything and everything you could possibly, fill uh, with whatever subject that it just happens to be on. So if you got like an entire book on trains and the history of trains and different models of trains, and it would help to have that because then you can just be like, oh, well, there's a particular, you know, piece that I'm doing or a comic that I'm doing, and it's from this era. So it would make sense for me to be, you know, trying to figure out how to draw like a bullet train versus, uh, a steam powered train. So having a mental block. But yes, it's stuff like that. Cars, could be another good instance. There would be zero reason for you to be drawing a Model A when it's supposed to be, a comic about the Grand Prix and everyone has Ferraris or Lamborghinis or whatever foreign car that it is. Doesn't make any sense. So it helps to have these types of books to help understand how to do specific things instead of just having to fully rely on Google search or anything else that you could try to find on the internet and then come up short. Thank you, David. I remember when Jim Lee bought Grifter to DC, but how it's actually incorporated into the universe. So, David, if you haven't heard, Wildcats is actually back. It's a limited series or a standalone series, I should say. I think it's only 2 issues in as of right now. So, if you want to pick up the first 2 issues, I would highly recommend coming over to Haven and getting those. And of course, also DC just released the 30th anniversary Wildstorm special, and I think we have about 2 copies of that still left over. So if you want to pick up that over at Haven, let me know. I'll try to keep those things aside for you. Which, speaking of, I did read the first issue. Um, Alan is a bit miffed at me because I have not read issue 2 yet. Because I know he's been wanting to talk about it. Um, but I'm planning on reading issue 2 tomorrow. But going back to the whole photo reference stuff, I like picking these things up whenever I just happen to be in a secondhand bookstore or Books a Million or Barnes and Noble, what have you, because it's just one of those things where it's really nice to have books that are on specific things. So I do have a couple of books talking about firearms throughout the years or decades, eras, whatever you want to call it. I even found a book on Japanese swords, starting from the Meiji period all the way through about, I think it was like 1946, 47, somewhere around there, after Imperial Japan fell, after the bombings of uh, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Uh, so I mean, it's interesting to see the progression of blades that they made from just the katana all the way up through various different types of rapiers and even more katanas throughout the period of World War II. And of course, it's also nice to find books like, recently they've been releasing the Led Zeppelin, how they made every song through every album and EP that they put out throughout their career. That one's really awesome book, and it's also extremely thick. We're talking thick with a Q. So, but if you are a Led Zeppelin fan, I would highly recommend getting that. It's a nice coffee table type book. Probably going to have to raise this up just a little bit more. As I'm thinking about how the barrel and how the silencer is supposed to make this thing shoot out, which I don't want to go over. Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm probably just going to lift up silencer just a bit, and hopefully the sound of my stomach saying, "Hey, you should probably get dinner," it's going off right now. I'm sure that's what everyone wanted to hear in the live chat. Yeah, there we go. All right. Think I've got that whole thing situated with the gun so I can focus on everything else that is just as important. All right. So now we're going to go back to the mask. I really wanted to get the gun situation just done and over with so that whenever I'm putting the mask with the different folds, because it's kind of blown up, that was not me trying to do a dab, by the way. Um, so this, and then actually, all right. Then we can do the rest of the hood. Leading into the arm. Okay. So Now we got the pencil of this down, we're going to go straight into erasing some of the lines that we don't need before we start inking this. And I'm going to need to double check something about the angle that I'm thinking of. I want to say that there's more of a fold going on because of how that thing's supposed to be put together, and my suspicions were correct. So let's see if I can zoom in with my phone. Okay, so try to zoom in on my phone and only zooms the screen, but not the actual screen. So what I want to do is bring this in. Hopefully that works. Because right now you are about, I would say about 6 to 7 inches away from the paper itself. So hopefully I won't hit it whenever I'm trying to ink this thing. Okay. Hmm. I'm using a very thick and blocky pen, which is very much the antithesis of my normal inking process, but I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a throwback to the original type of, quick inky process that Lee typically does. Which there were a few other people that actually drew Wildcats. Um, and no offense to Lee whatsoever, but I think Travis Charest was probably my favorite. However, I am enjoying the new person that's drawing Wildcats, Stephen Segovia. Alan, I'm going to have to zoom this back just a bit because I'm literally having to duck, bob, and weave, just trying to see what I'm doing. But I'll be zooming it back in just a little bit. I just need to get these uh, other sections done real quick. All right. So as you can obviously tell, I'm just quickly trying to, you know, loose sketch this kind of stuff and uh oof, drift around in memory. I wish I could say I was doing this through memory. I could. I'm actually just kind of swapping back and forth between two different references. Um, my memory is not as good as it used to be, but I've been having to do a lot of as far as just like drawing stuff from memory. So I've been having to go back and forth with, you know, a couple different games and um, tricks to get my brain working. Yeah, James, definitely here. We are just now trying to get the outlines for Grifter done before I just start throwing in some spot blacks and stuff. Do you think Grifter would have worked as a Marvel property? I'm kind of glad that he isn't. Uh, there's too many people within the Marvel franchise that, you know, do some sort of like covert whatever. So I think it's good that he's in DC, which means that, you know, Grifter is able to work begrudgingly or otherwise with, characters like Batman. Um, and of course, with this new series, with the Wildcats going against the Court of Owls, again, I think that just makes sense a whole lot more. I think the last thing that we need is another, team that's going to come across a little bit Suicide Squatty with Marvel, which, I'm pretty sure there's going to be someone out there that's going to want to, have that sort of thing. Uh, Personally, I just don't want to see another, another company basically trying to rip off another character and, do their whole thing because we can get into the whole conversation about, who came first, Deadpool or Deathstroke, which we all know Deathstroke came first. So, reference again. Okay, this is where it's going to get really hairy. Would have been nice if I had my ellipsis stencil on me. Probably would have made this a lot easier and a lot quicker, but considering that this part right here is going to be, completely black, can't overlook that. And then, of course, I can just fix up any details with white ink. I would like to see a backlash reference in the new Wildcats. Give enough hope on a cameo. So, Brett Booth owns everything regarding backlash. So it's really up to him whether or not if he wants to put it within Big Two or bring it back to Image or whatever. Which, because Brett Booth is now a part of what's the name of the company? Artist Elite. And he's not the only person on there. Tyler Kirkham is on there. Sarah Source Young is also on there. But anyways, his character Lost Serpent Prince is basically Backlash 2.0. If you're looking at the character design, it's practically almost the same. But yeah, Booth was actually super smart, and he bought everything regarding the rights revolving Backlash. And so yeah, the only way you're going to be seeing anything regarding him is if you follow him on social media. Never read Wildcats or the Mercenary for Hire ish. So the CATS part stands for Covert Action Team. So if you're looking at the characters in terms of who is a mercenary, who isn't, Grifter is technically the only mercenary on the group. Everyone else is, very varied. Spartan is technically a cyborg. Void is an android. Voodoo is technically a stripper who is half Damonites. Zealot is a holy warrior from another planet. Maul, not exactly sure what Maul is. I think he might also be from the same planet as Zealot, but his power is basically the bigger he gets, the smaller and smaller his IQ gets. Um, and of course, there's other characters that got added into Wildcats, like Ladytron, and I think Cole's brother also was added into the group at some point as well. I can't remember. Um, I never officially read the entire series from start to finish, so I really couldn't tell you much. But yeah, um, I hope that answers your question. I mean, it does kind of come off that they're all mercenaries, but in reality, if you're looking at job titles, Grifter is the only one that is an actual mercenary. Now, Team Seven, which Grifter was a part of, which the timeline for that existed long before Wildcats starts. Uh, him and great, I forgot the character's name. Starts with a B. It's the dude that's dying from cancer with Alan would probably chime in into the chat to help me answer with that one. Anyways, that character's in it, and several other different characters. Uh, yeah, um, Lynch is also a part of it. Um, but anyways, Team Seven is all mercenaries, and I think was also the running on a blank in terms of words and phrases and things. But James, if you've never read Wildcats or it's been a long time that you haven't read Wildcats, I would highly recommend finding a copy of the first trade, which I mean you can find a decently good size copy of that for probably not even $10. So kill this off real quick. All right, so I'm gonna put X's in places where I know I'm going to be dropping in those spot blacks. And extend this out just a bit more. All right. And some more X's. And I want to get a bit of a shadow right here. I think I'm going to thin this out just a little bit. There we go. Seems a bit more in line. All right. They kind of have a revolving door when it comes to characters. Spartan will show up soon. Team Seven was Deathblow. That's the name of the character. Um, just want to background on the characters. The book covers look amazing. I just never gave them a chance. So even though, uh, and this kind of became an on-running thing with I think every person that was involved with the OG Image crew, is that while Jim Lee technically did the first how many ever issues, both writing and drawing, he ends up hiring other people doing the artwork, but still doing the story. Um, because those guys just spread themselves super thin, even though that they were, building everything from the ground up. It was a bit of a gamble, if we're being perfectly honest. But there were some really great artists that actually did show up. So you had Dustin Nguyen, Travis Charest. Can't remember his first name. His last name is Sprouse. He also did some stuff, and um, unfortunately, Eric Larson also did story and art for a Wildcat story. I know some people really like him, but not a fan. Um, but yeah, just realized something. So before anyone says anything, I am no Scott Williams uh, when it comes to inking any of these original characters. And that's all right. You don't need to be. Oops. So as you can see, sometimes twisting around the paper to get a better angle so that you're not intentionally just, sticking your hand everywhere and then accidentally smudging ink in places where you just don't want it to smudge. Do the same thing again, but focusing on things on the opposite side. This bad boy. All right. All right. So we are basically getting right towards the end of all this. Did not realize we were heading into the 2 hour mark. But I am super glad that everyone who came in chimed in into the chat. And of course, I will be posting a photo of this on social media. If you guys are interested in wanting to purchase this, let me know. If not, it will be on sale to whoever wants to get it. So, like always, being a nice outline to differentiate line weight helps everything. let's see here. Alan, thank you for coming out. Yes, definitely going to be posting pics of this when I finish this, which is going to be very, very soon, because everyone's time is very precious, and I am also quite thankful for it. So much cross hatching, so much. So the only reason I'm using a brush pen for these parts right here is just because I wanted a more organic line. Simply because we're dealing with clothing. So it just kind of makes sense for me to, and because the hand is so far in front of you, it just makes sense to be using something like this. A little bit of control. And this is what comes out. But I want to have to thicken up the lines just a bit more. Oops. Great. Let's quickly erase some of these lines right here. It's mainly the pencil. going to be going over some stuff with some whiting just to fix some lines here and there. Adding some more hatching and should be done right after that. right, here it is. We have Grifter. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here for tonight's stream. But last but not least, the one thing that I cannot do, uh, oh, wow, is starting to, I want to stay. It's drifting off. No. All right. Never not on your work. And of course, the moment I do that, I'm noticing some other little things. All right. So as you can see, there is Grifter. Sorry. It's definitely fun being here on the stream. Thank you again so much for everyone that happened to have come by and stay here for the entire 2 hours and 20 minutes that we've been drawing. Holy crap. Uh, so, we're going to be doing some quick housekeeping just to end off the night. Haven Comics is located at 1871 Slaughter Road, Suite F in Madison, Alabama, and we are open from Wednesdays through Sundays. And if you happen to have liked the show, please remember to like and subscribe, follow, share, all the good stuff. Reason being is that every like, every subscription, every follow, every share, every comment helps us immensely. Not just within everything involving Haven Comics, but also myself and Josh and Alan and the Blur Syndicate guys. Helps us immensely in terms of trying to beat the algorithm. And if you want to follow me on social media, I am here on Facebook. I am here on Instagram and Twitter and Mastodon and Hive and Tumblr. Just find me under tpriceartworks, and you will find this face there. And thank you guys again, and I will see you next Sunday night.